In the English language, we have hundreds of names for wind. All of the languages of the world together have more than 10,000 names for wind. Wind may be so gentle that it feels like a feather across one's cheek. In New England, this breeze is called a cat's paw because it barely ripples the surface of ponds, like a cat playing with its reflection in the water. In Portugal, the same easy breeze is called vento coado. In Japan, it is called soyokaze. Hawaii has a light wind called kohilo. Some winds are extremely dry. In the United States, the famous Santa Ana falls from the high slopes of the Rocky Mountains. As it falls, it dries out and grows hotter. In Canada, the same dry, hot wind from the Rockies is called a chinook. It is welcome because the chinook thaws out the cold of winter. For a few days, the weather is like spring. But early settlers crossing the deserts of North America in wagon trains dreaded the Santa Ana. When it struck, it burned the eyes with sand, scorched throats, and dried lips. Oxen and horses had to be protected with blankets. Wooden wagon wheels had to be tarred to keep them from drying out and splitting. In the deserts of Africa, the simoon, or burning wind, is hot and dry. Herodotus, the Greek historian, tells of the ancient people of Tripoli who suffered from a long simoon. Their wells dried up. The people declared war on the simoon. They gathered their weapons and marched into the Sahara. With clashing cymbals and beating drums, they disappeared into the swirling sand, never to be seen again. Some winds bring rain. The best known is the monsoon of India. During the monsoon season, fields are flooded and roads become mired with mud. The monsoon is necessary because rice, an important food crop in India, must have plenty of water to grow. Germany has a rainy wind called Steppenwind. Hawaii has a cold, wet wind called Waimea. In the United States, sailors know how to head for a safe harbor when they sight a fast-moving rainy wind called a squall. Some windstorms come without warning. In the level Midwestern plains of the United States, wind is able to travel for 1,000 miles without a mountain to slow it down. Like a giant roller, the wind moves faster and faster. It rolls across the prairie at 100 miles an hour. Suddenly, it strikes a farm, rips up roofs, topples grain elevators, and carries away tons of topsoil. Other countries have names for these sudden windstorms. Australia call it a willy willy. Scotland calls it the land lash. What is wind? Wind is simply air in motion. Two forces cause air to move: convection currents and the rotation of the earth. Convection is the movement of heat by currents within a substance. Most substances grow lighter as they are heated. The warmer material rises to be replaced by cooler material. Convection takes place better in some substances than in others. The atoms and molecules that form solids are locked into place. These particles cannot flow. For that reason, convection cannot take place in solids. But the atoms and molecules of a liquid or gas can move. Convection occurs best in liquids like water and in gases like the atmosphere. As an example of convection, consider a burning candle. The flame heats the air and it expands. The warmer air rises to be replaced from below by cooler air. The cooler air also brings in a fresh supply of oxygen. A candle flame flickers even in a room with still air. Rising convection currents blow the flame back and forth, causing the flickering. Hot air rises, cool air falls. A thermal is a hot updraft of air. On a day when the air is still, you can fly a kite if you catch it in the rising current. Sailplanes and gliders remain aloft by choosing these rising columns of air. Birds like the condor, eagle, and albatross fly hundreds of miles by moving from one thermal to another. Hot air that spirals up as it rises creates a whirlwind. In Japan, the whirlwind is called the samuji. In Africa, it is called a habab. Another name for it in the United States is the dust devil. A whirlwind seldom causes damage. Not so with a tornado. A tornado is the most violent of all winds. Tornadoes, or twisters, usually spin out of thunderstorms when the air is unstable. A tornado lives only for a few minutes. Although it is small, less than 200 yards across, it spins with incredible speed. The exact speed has been impossible to measure. Whenever weather instruments are in the path of a tornado, they have been ripped apart. But most scientists believe the airspeed at the center of a tornado is more than 600 miles an hour. Other names for tornado are waterspout, if it's over the ocean, and cyclone. Convection has a far-reaching importance to human beings. On a small scale, convection currents keep fires burning and bring fresh air into buildings. On a large scale, they produce winds and ocean currents. Sea breezes are produced by convection. During the day, a sea breeze blows into the shore from off the ocean. At night, the wind reverses direction. It flows from land to sea. Why the change? When water and land are heated by sunlight, the land warms more quickly than the water. During daytime, air over the land is heated and rises. Cooler air from the sea flows in to take its place. The breeze blows from sea to land. At night, the situation is reversed. The land cools more quickly than the water. Warmer air over the sea rises. Cooler air from the land flows in to take its place. The breeze blows from the land to the sea. Usually, these sea breezes are gentle. England has a sea breeze so nice and refreshing it is called the Doctor. The other force that causes wind is the rotation of the earth upon its axis. A point on the rim of a wheel travels a greater distance than a point nearer the center of the wheel. In the same way, air near the equator moves faster than the air near the poles. This rotation causes westerly winds, winds from out of the west, near the equator. Farther north, prevailing easterly winds are formed. The prevailing easterlies and westerlies are very predictable and dependable. Sailors call these winds trade winds because sailing ships can travel both ways across the ocean by catching the right trade wind. The famous navigators of the age of exploration soon learned about the prevailing winds on the ocean's surface. But Prince Henry, Columbus, and Magellan were earthbound. What about winds higher in the sky? Until the late 1700s, scientists could not explore into the atmosphere. Their only clue to winds aloft came from watching how clouds drifted about. Then, with the invention of the balloon by the Montgolfier brothers and the airplane by the Wright brothers, exploring the atmosphere became possible. The first balloonists explored 3 miles into the Earth's atmosphere. They encountered winds far more fierce than those on the surface. The gentle clouds drifting across the sky turned out to be an illusion. Instead, winds whipped the clouds along. Winds above the surface of the earth are usually twice as fast as winds along the surface. Hidden in the skies were 2 rivers of wind, the jet streams. Until their discovery, no one imagined their existence or that they could travel so fast. In 1940, pilots flying high across the Pacific sometimes found their planes motionless. The planes were inside a jet stream. A jet stream is a fast-moving current of air that travels from west to east at a height of 5 to 10 miles, encircling the Earth. Usually, the northern hemisphere has 2 jet streams, one that flows across the southern part of the United States and another that is farther north. The southern hemisphere has jet streams in similar positions. The jet streams are caused by the rotation of the Earth. Their speed varies, but can be as high as 500 miles per hour. Weathermen believe that the jet streams are responsible for much of the general weather of the Earth. Jet streams carry heat and energy all around the Earth. The jet streams are like rivers of air. Like rivers, They meander about with great bends and horseshoe loops in their paths. Under certain conditions, kinks in the jet stream may break away. A hurricane forms. The wind inside the hurricane is as powerful as the jet stream itself. A hurricane is also known as a typhoon. A hurricane is the most powerful storm known. Its winds are not as violent as those of a tornado, but the hurricane is thousands of times larger. It may be 500 miles across. Hurricanes and tornadoes can be deadly, but just as deadly as a windstorm is no wind at all. Convection currents replace stale air over cities with fresh air. The ground is heated by sunlight. Air near the ground becomes warm and rises, causing a natural airflow, and refreshes the air over a city. Warm air is usually found near the ground and cooler air at higher altitudes. But during a temperature inversion, a warm upper layer of air covers a valley. The warm air acts as a lid, keeping polluted air within the valley. When the air above a city doesn't move, there is no wind, and the city becomes blanketed by an unpleasant and dangerous cover of smog. Each day that the air is still, fumes from automobiles and smoke from factories spew into the air. One of the most dangerous smogs of all time blanketed London in 1952. The air became so thick darkness fell at noon. Cars drove with their lights on during the day. Breathing became difficult. Older people had to avoid exercise. Schools canceled outside recess. People who went outside wore handkerchiefs over their faces to breathe. Airplane pilots who flew over the city reported that it looked like a great silent sea of gray smoke. From the airplane, only the tops of higher buildings could be seen. More than 4,000 people died. The lack of wind can be deadly. What solved this problem? A wind. A gentle breeze, hardly enough to make leaves wiggle, began blowing. Its invisible force gently brushed away the stale air and replaced it with fresh. Winds swept the air clean. Sailors have a name for the lack of wind: the doldrums.